What's going on, YouTube? I'm D. Ellis. Welcome back to another episode of Crime Circuit. For this video, we're going to be covering Ken Rex McElroy, um, the longtime bully who would later be murdered in front of over 40 people, and nobody saw a thing. Disclaimer, everything that I've found, all the research that I've done has been on the internet. This is educational purposes only. Make sure you guys please like, share, comment, subscribe. Put this video into the YouTube algorithm. We're on the road to be monetized. So, with all that being said, let's get into the intro. Ken Rex McElroy, born June 1st, 1934, was an American criminal and convicted attempted murderer who resided in Skidmore, Missouri. He was known as the town bully, and his unsolved killing became the focus of international attention. Over the course of his life, McElroy was accused of dozens of felonies, including child molestation, assault, statutory rape, arson, animal cruelty, hog and cattle rustling, and also burglary. So this man was a classified asshole. So with all that being said, in all, he was actually indicted 21 times, but escaped conviction each time, except for the last. In 1981, McElroy was convicted of attempted murder in the shooting of the town's 70-year-old grocer, Ernest Bowenkamp. Now, McElroy appealed the conviction and was later released on bond, after which engaged in an ongoing harassment campaign against Bowenkamp and others who were sympathetic towards Bowenkamp, including the town's Church of Christ minister. He appeared in a local bar, the D&G Tavern, armed with an M1 Garand rifle and a bayonet, and later threatened to kill Bowenkamp. Now, the next day, McElroy will be shot to death in broad daylight as he sat with his wife Trina in his pickup truck on Skidmore's main street. He was struck by bullets from at least 2 different firearms in front of a crowd of people estimated as a numbering between 30 and 46 people. Still to this date, no one has ever been charged in the connection with McElroy's death. McElroy was born in 1934, the 15th of 16 children born to a poor, migrant tenant farming couple named Tony and Maybelle McElroy, who had moved between Kansas and the Ozarks before settling outside of Skidmore. He would drop out of high school at the age of 15 in 8th grade and quickly established a local reputation as a cattle rustler, a small-time thief, and also a womanizer. For more than 2 decades, McElroy was suspected of being involved in theft of grain, gasoline, alcohol, antiques, and even livestock, but he avoided conviction when charges were brought against him 21 times. Often after witnesses refused to testify because he was allegedly intimidated, frequently by following his targets or parking outside their homes and even watching them. He was represented by the defense attorney Richard Gene McFadden of Gallatin, Missouri. McElroy fathered more than 10 children with different women. He would go on and he met his last wife, Trina McLeod, when she was 12 years old and in the 8th grade. He raped McLeod repeatedly. The 12-year-old's parents initially opposed the relationship, but after McElroy burned their house down and shot the family dog, they relented and agreed to the marriage. She became pregnant at the age of 14, dropped out of high school in the ninth grade, and went to live with McElroy and his second wife, Alice. McElroy divorced Alice and married Trina in order to escape charges of statutory rape, to which she was the only witness. 16 days after Trina gave birth, both she and Alice fled to Trina's mother's and stepfather's house. According to court records, McElroy tracked them down and brought them back. He then turned to Trina's parents' home when they were away and once again shot the family dog and burned down the house. Based on Trina's story, McElroy was indicted in June of 1973 for arson, assault, and statutory rape. He was arrested, booked, arraigned, and released on $2,500 bail. Trina and her baby were placed into foster care at a home in Maryville, Missouri. McElroy sat outside the foster home for hours at a time, staring at it. He told the foster family that he would trade girl for girl to get his child back. Since he knew where the foster family's biological daughter went to school and what bus route she rode, additional charges were filed against McElroy. On July 27th of 1976, Skidmore farmer Romaine Henry said McElroy shot him twice with a shotgun after Henry challenged him for shooting weapons on Henry's property. McElroy was charged with assault with intent to kill. McElroy denied he was at the scene. As the case dragged, and without a court date, Henry said McElroy had parked outside his home at least 100 times. At the trial, 2 raccoon hunters testified that they were with McElroy the day of the shooting, away from Henry's property. Henry was forced to admit in court, under questioning by McElroy's attorney Richard Gene McFadden, that he had concealed his own petty criminal conviction for more than 30 years previous. McElroy was later acquitted. In 1980, one of McElroy's children got into an argument with the clerk, Evelyn Summey, in a local grocery store owned by 70-year-old Ernest Bo Bowenkamp and his wife Lois. Allegedly, because the young McElroy child tried to steal some candy, McElroy began stalking the Bowenkamp's family and eventually threatened Bo Bowenkamp in the back of his store with a shotgun in hand. In the ensuing confrontation, McElroy shot Bowenkamp in the neck. Bowenkamp survived, and McElroy was arrested and charged with attempted murder. McElroy was convicted at trial of assault, but freed on bail pending his appeal. Immediately after being released at a post-trial hearing, McElroy went to the D&G Tavern, a local bar, with a M1 Garand rifle attached with a bayonet, and made graphic threats about what he would do to Bowenkamp. This led to several patrons deciding to see what they could legally do to prevent McElroy from harming anyone else. Nottoway County Sheriff Dan Estes suggested they form a neighborhood watch. McElroy's appeal was again delayed. On the morning of July 10th of 1981, townspeople met at the Legion Hall in the center town of Sheriff Estes to discuss how to protect themselves. During the meeting, McElroy arrived at the D&G Tavern with Trina. As he sat drinking at the bar, word got back to the men at the Legion Hall that he was in town. Sheriff Estes instructed the assembled group not to get into a direct confrontation with McElroy, but instead seriously consider forming a neighborhood watch program. Estes then drove out of town in his police cruiser. The citizens decided to go to the tavern. The bar soon filled completely. After McElroy finished his drinks, he purchased a six-pack of beer, left the bar, and entered his pickup truck. Someone shot at McElroy while he was sitting in his truck. He was shot at several times and hit twice, once by a centerfire rifle and once by a .22 rimfire rifle. In all, there were 46 potential witnesses to the shooting, including Trina McElroy, who was in the truck with her husband when he was shot. No one called for an ambulance. Only Trina claimed to identify a gunman. Every other witness either was unable to name an assailant or claimed not to have seen who fired the fatal shots. The DA declined to press charges. An extensive federal investigation did not lead to any charges. Missouri-based journalist Steve Boer described the attitude of some townspeople as he needed killing. McElroy was buried at Memorial Park Cemetery in St. Joseph, Missouri. On July 9th of 1984, Trina McElroy filed a $5 million wrongful death lawsuit against the town of Skidmore County. Sheriff Danny Estes, Steve Peters, was the mayor of Skidmore, and Dale Clement, whom Trina accused of being the shooter, but who was never charged. The case was later settled out of court by all parties for $17,000, with no one admitting guilt for the stated reason of avoiding costly legal fees should the suit proceed. Trina would go on to remarry and move to Lebanon, Missouri, where she died of cancer on her 55th birthday of June 24th of 2012. Alright, y'all, that's going to conclude this episode of Crime Circuit. I'm D. Ellis. Make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe. My thoughts on Ken McElroy, I mean, it's quite simple. He was a bitch. Everybody that he was following, I mean, it's just like he was targeting women, animals. It's just, to me, I mean, shit, it is what it is. I mean, going around bullying people and doing all that other stuff, it's just, it don't make no sense. It's just, I mean, like, you can't fathom, like, why someone would do some shit like this. But, you know, condolences to all the families that were involved. They got hurt by this man. Hopefully they have some peace by now. But I'm D. Ellis. This is Crime Circuit. I appreciate you guys for checking out the video. Make sure you guys like, share, comment, and subscribe. Peace.